Ahoy! The amount of gold that companies get for owning territories will change in the near future. This will have a massive impact, especially for the companies that own territories like Windward, which have a lot of trading happening at them at the moment. But not only that, it will also change the benefits of running wars for companies, and also how much you want to keep your territories upgraded, as well as how much you want to care about invasions. Credit for finding these changes goes to XR, or Not Reformed, a name you may already be familiar with from the DPS video that I did recently. To be clear, these changes are in the files of the PTR version, where Brimstone Sands is already active, but it is not 100% certain that they will be in the game when Brimstone Sands launches. It could be that they are already in the system but not activated yet and will be activated at a later point, or maybe they're trying to test some things with them first. So what do the changes look like exactly? Instead of gold going directly to the town that your trading is done in, the gold is now first pooled between all territories. Then this gold pool is split between all existing territories, and this split has a predetermined maximum value, but you are not guaranteed the maximum. We'll get to that a little bit later. The towns that can reach the highest percentage of the total pool are the ones that are and will be the most populated ones, being Everfall, Windward, and Brimstone Sands. The maximum split of the total pool that's possible for them is 12.5%. However, the next regions aren't too far off. Brightwood, Ebonscale Reach, and Monarch's Bluff can all make up to 10% of the total. I'm assuming Monarch's Bluff is included with a relatively high split here because they are updating the entire town, so they're expecting it to be more populated as well. Reekwater is the only territory that gets a maximum of 7.5% of the split, and the rest of the territories, being First Light, Cutlass Keys, Morningdale, Weaver's Fen, and Restless Shore, all get a maximum of 5%. But as I said, you won't always get this maximum. The condition for this maximum is that you keep your town at least near fully upgraded. XR has made a calculator, which I will also link down below. What you can see in this calculator is that you have this territory level on the left side, which is not your own territory standing or anything. This is the level of how upgraded the territory currently is, if everything is at tier 5 stations or maxed out stations. And if you change this level, so say for example 25 on Brightwood, then you will notice that the split goes down, but none of the other splits increases in return. So as long as Brightwood is not fully upgraded, you make a smaller portion. If we say just have 10 upgrades, the split is even smaller. So you really want to make sure that your town is near maximum upgrades, though there seems to be some sort of cap, which I think is around 40-ish somewhere, where the split no longer increases. We don't know what the new upgrades are here, because previously, as far as I'm aware, we didn't have 45 upgrades in total, and we'll have to find out what exactly you need to reach in order to have the full split. But what happens if you don't have the full split, so if you're for example at 10, is the rest of the split here seems to simply disappear. So the rest of the money that isn't earned by having the full split by all territories doesn't seem to go between the other territories or be split in any other way, but simply disappear. And what's obviously also very important here is to take a look at the actual amounts that different territories are getting now. So these are the numbers from Delos as of the last full week of September. So with Brimstone Sands especially, we'll likely see higher numbers overall because a lot of people will be returning to the game and will be active in Brimstone Sands. But nevertheless, this will give us a general idea of how the new split works. So if you look, for example, at a territory like Windward, previously the split that they got from their own earnings was 5 million. Now they're looking at 1.8 million. So we are gonna see some pretty hefty swings overall in terms of total amounts gained for some of these places or lost for others. On the flip side, we have previously pretty unwanted territories like First Light that used to make 265,000 that will now make 730,000, so fairly close to 1 million and will be worth it a lot more than before. Along with these income changes, there are also changes to upkeep, with the maximum upkeep now being 190,000. But even after that, generally these territories will bring home a decent profit, at least 500,000 in all of these, and that's again assuming the relatively low numbers from at the moment. Now, we know that there will likely be other changes to war and territory ownership in the near future that have already been talked about to some degree, with, for example, the war cooldown being a possibility, as well as maybe some limitations to how many people of a company have to be in a war of that very company, so that you can't really bounce between companies anymore, have shell companies and all that stuff. And that will obviously play into this as well. So if companies can really only own 1 or maybe 2 territories, then the maximum profit that they can make per week is severely limited compared to before. It's unlikely that you'll be able to even hold 2 of the maximum territories, and rather that you'll be able to hold one of the lower split territories and have desynchronized invasion timers so that you can maybe hold 2 territories. But even in those best case scenarios for a company, you're probably not gonna take home more than 3 million in total, which is still a ton, don't get me wrong, but you'd also easily have to be the strongest company on the server to even consider being able to do that at all. What you would still be able to do is take away territories from other companies and essentially force them to downgrade by declaring war on them, winning the war, making them lose upgrades, and then not upgrade and then just lose the territory again, which means the territory loses another war and gets even more downgrades, at which point the cut for whichever company owns the territory is significantly decreased. At this point, it is also worth pointing out that it appears that there will be changes to both war and invasion losses when it comes to how many upgrades you actually end up losing. It seems that, especially in wars, you will lose a significantly higher number, but even in invasions, you should see a pretty significant increase in upgrades lost, so that in both cases, you absolutely want to make sure that you win those every single time, just to maintain the current split that you have with your territory. Taking another company's territory, however, doesn't benefit your own company directly, because your split doesn't increase just because somebody else's split decreases. But if you have a rival company that you expect to get some leverage through the extra money that they may be making, then that could be a potential strategy. But that also depends on if and how the war cooldowns get executed, so you might not even be able to do that, in which case I think gold will be split a lot more evenly between a lot of companies, and I think this is a better system. Obviously, there will still be the main territories that make a little bit more than everyone else, but you should get somewhat rewarded for owning the most valuable and most contested territories on the map as well, so in my opinion that's completely fine. I'd like to hear what you think about this, if you prefer the old split or if you think the new split is better. And tomorrow we'll finally be talking about Greatsword DPS, and it's going to get absolutely crazy, I can promise you that much. If you're interested in seeing that, please consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you get notified when that video comes out. Thanks to XR for the info in this video, and thank you for watching. Sloth out.